Hey, my name is Valerie, and I'm about to tell you about a really uncommon situation that I'm going through. I honestly can't imagine that you've heard of anything like it before, and I'm afraid you won't understand. I barely understand it myself. 2 years ago, I graduated from high school. My boyfriend Jeff and I spent our last year of school doing lots of odd jobs so we could save up money for our trip. We love adventure, and we'd planned to travel all around the United States for 6 months together. We wanted to go everywhere. This was going to be our last trip together, and we really wanted to enjoy it. Afterwards, we were going in separate directions. Jeff was going to stay in Florida, and I was heading to Washington, D.C. for college. We weren't breaking up, but you know how long-distance relationships are. Even if it worked out, it wasn't going to be the same. The trip was amazing. Honestly, like the best thing I've ever done in my life. And surprisingly, we didn't have a lot of problems in the trip, and we barely fought, literally not even once. You know how incredible that is? We were just happy to be in the moments, without parents or duties, just living day by day. But I was so focused on the places that we were visiting that I totally forgot about my period. Yeah, I know that you should pay attention to it, but time passed so fast I couldn't remember that my period hadn't come in 3 months. By the time that I remembered, I didn't have any pregnancy symptoms. My belly was just like it was before the trip, and therefore I didn't really pay much attention to it. Maybe my cycle was being irregular, I don't know. We kept traveling for the next 2 months, and then finally the 6 months had passed by and our trip was over. I spent a few days in Florida packing and saying goodbye to my family and friends. Then I went to Washington, D.C. alone. I wanted my mom to come help me. But she said if I was capable of traveling around the country for 6 months with my boyfriend, I was capable of going to college and settling down. Makes sense, I guess. But I was alone, and it took me a while to get some stuff and get settled into my dorm. But when I finally did settle down, it had been like a month. And with everything on my mind and all these huge changes, I forgot about my period again. And then it hit me. I hadn't had a period for like 6 months. I could understand going like 2 or 3 months, but 6? This was not normal. But if I was pregnant, like 6 months pregnant, wouldn't I have a huge belly? And I didn't. My tummy had grown in the past few months, but I thought it was due to like anxiety or the freshman 15 or whatever. It wasn't a pregnant woman's belly. But still, I thought I should go to the doctor and see what was going on. Maybe they could give me a prescription or something to regulate my cycle. So I made an appointment the day after I realized this situation. First, the doctor asked me some questions, then he checked me up and ordered some tests. He didn't think I was pregnant because, like I said before, I didn't have a big belly or anything like that. Therefore, he didn't even ask me to do an ultrasound. But a little later, the test results came in and I was pregnant. This wasn't in my plans. Immediately, I went back to the doctor's office and he made me take an ultrasound. And I could notice he was just super confused when he was looking at the sonogram. I didn't understand what was going on, and he wouldn't tell me anything. So then he left suddenly and ran out of the room. I wasn't listening to his conversation, but he was talking with someone on the phone, and it was clear that he was talking about me, which made me really worried. He came back and he said he'd called another doctor to help advise on my case. What? We waited a little while, and then the other doctor showed up. He was watching the sonogram with his partner, and they both looked super astonished. And it was awful. They were being so silent, and it was really awkward. I couldn't take it anymore. My patience had run out, and I demanded that the doctors tell me what was going on. They understood that I was concerned, but they said they had to talk about my pregnancy between the two of them first. I had to wait another hour while they talked in private somewhere else. It was so weird. I don't know why they were acting like this. I mean, haven't they seen a pregnant teen before? It's not a big deal. It happens. It's like that MTV show, and it's not like I was 12 years old or anything. I'm 19. But they finally came back into the room and told me that apparently I was 25 weeks pregnant. But the baby hadn't reached the developmental stage that it should be at by that time. It was growing slower than most other babies, and for this reason, the baby wouldn't come out in the normal time of 9 months. Hold on, what? The doctor said that he was going to be in my belly for at least another 6 months, which would mean that I would be 12 months pregnant by the time he came out. Crazy, right? They said they'd never seen anything like this in all of their years of experience. There have been other cases reported in other parts of the world, but never in this hospital or even in this freaking state. They said it was possible that I could deliver the baby in 9 months, but the odds of him developing outside were slim to none. And to be honest, I wasn't really looking forward to having a baby right away anyways. I'm not even in my 20s. This is going to change my life forever. My parents are going to be so upset. But then I started to think about the baby, and I thought, what if he's going to change the world? I know it's a dumb thought, but I kept thinking about it. I decided to wait until whenever he's ready to come out. I didn't want him to die or anything. And what made me nervous was the thought of Jeff and his parents' reaction. He has a big future ahead of him as a baseball player, and he's not ready to have a kid. He's 19 like me, and he's never had experience with kids. At least I've been a babysitter before. He's not dad material, but I knew that he was going to support me and stay by me. But I was more worried about my parents. I wasn't sure if they were going to really have my back as much. They're kind of conservative, and I thought that they would care about what other people think. But eventually, they would come around and support me. First, I had to tell Jeff. We FaceTime every night, and so as soon as I got back from the doctor, I told him. He was kind of speechless, just processing. After a while, he said he wanted to come to DC immediately, but I told him to wait. I thought it would be better for me to go to Florida, where my whole family is. I mean, after all, that made the most sense, just to be close to home. So then I called my parents, and they were furious because they had told me the importance of using protection and that I didn't listen to them. But actually, I did. I have no idea how I got pregnant because we were really careful. I had to hear my mom go on and on about it until she finally calmed down. I was finally able to tell them about all these weird, strange details of my pregnancy, and they said that they would like for me to come back home. So I decided to go back. I was pretty sure I needed my family to deal with all this. I'd find a new doctor. I came back to Florida, and as soon as I got there, I started searching. But all the doctors said that they would only deliver my baby at 9 months. I wasn't going to take that risk. After asking for a bunch of different referrals, nobody knew about this situation. I finally found a doctor who insisted that he could help me. He was going to do some research and help me through my pregnancy. I decided to trust him, but now I'm wondering if I should have. Months passed by, and my new doctor said the baby wasn't ready yet. I was 12 months pregnant, and I was ready to give birth. After all, this is when the first doctor said I could expect to finally have the kid out. I was exhausted. But even so, according to this doctor, I still had to wait a little bit more. Months passed by, and then another month, and so on. And the doctor said my son wasn't ready. It had been 18 freaking months. Some mothers might say that it's so incredible that I'm creating a deep connection with my son, but it's not. I would so much rather make this deep connection with him outside of my body, please and thank you. Right now, I'm suffering. I'm in constant pain. My belly seems like it's going to explode at any time, and my water still hasn't freaking broken. My whole body is just sore, and my back is killing me. I can't even walk. I'm in a wheelchair. The worst thing of all is that the doctors tell me that we just have to keep waiting. Just a little bit more. That's what he said 6 months ago. How much longer do I have to wait? Jeff and my family can't take it either. I'm being a total pain in the ass to them. They're being patient with me, but how long is that going to last? I'm starting to think that this doctor didn't do his research so good, and he has no idea of what he's doing. At this point, I have no idea what I should do. Should I trust him, or should I go back to the doctor in DC who actually had some idea what he was doing? Please, I'm getting really desperate. Can you just let me know what I should do?